Good afternoon. Today brings an important update that every driver across the United Kingdom, particularly those aged 50 and above, needs to hear. Beginning on the 22nd of June, 2025, the government will introduce one of the most significant sets of MOT reforms seen in decades. These reforms are not just about vehicles, they are about how we, as a nation of motorists, maintain safety, fairness, and trust on the road. For those of us who have been driving since the 70s, 80s, or 90s, this change marks the biggest shake-up to the annual MOT system since its creation in 1960. It is designed to modernize the test, strengthen accountability among garages, and reflect how our cars and the way we drive have evolved. Yet behind the official statements and policy papers lies something deeply personal: the impact these reforms will have on older drivers, their vehicles, and their independence. Under the new structure, every MOT centre across the country will begin introducing digital verification steps during the testing process. When your car enters the bay, photographs will be taken showing the registration plate, odometer reading, and parts of the underbody or key components during inspection. These images will then be stored in a secure digital database linked directly to the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency. This measure has been introduced following growing concerns about fraudulent certificates cases, where garages issued a pass without physically testing the car. For honest motorists, this will mean peace of mind, knowing that your certificate truly reflects the condition of your vehicle. For the few garages that might have cut corners, the new system will make that almost impossible. For drivers in their 50s, 60s, or 70s, who have built relationships with local garages for years, this shift may feel unfamiliar, but its purpose is simple: to protect you and ensure every car on British roads has been properly tested. Beyond that, 2025 brings deeper mechanical scrutiny. The MOT will begin incorporating checks on systems that, until recently, were not part of the inspection at all. Advanced driver assistance systems, such as lane-keeping aids, collision alerts, and electronic stability controls, will now be examined where applicable. The onboard diagnostic port, often referred to as the OBD, will play a larger role, allowing testers to identify stored faults, even if the dashboard shows no warning lights. This means that a car might appear perfectly fine to the eye, yet still fail the test if the digital record reveals an unresolved safety or emissions issue. For many older vehicles, especially those between 10 and 20 years old, this could pose new challenges. A car that has served you faithfully for a decade or more might begin to feel the pressure of modern standards. And while some might view that as unfair, the government's reasoning is safety-driven. The goal is to reduce the number of vehicles with hidden faults that could cause breakdowns or accidents. Emissions testing will also become stricter. Petrol and diesel engines will face new thresholds aligned with updated European and domestic environmental rules. Diesel vehicles fitted with particulate filters will be inspected more carefully, including visual confirmation that the filter is intact and functional. Tampering or removal will result in an automatic failure. For those of us who remember when smoke from the exhaust was an accepted sight on a cold morning, it's a reminder of how far technology has come and how expectations have changed. The government's data indicates that tightening emissions testing could save an estimated 50,000 tons of harmful particulates from entering the atmosphere each year. That's a figure that speaks to a national effort, but at a personal level, it means your car may need more attention: cleaner filters, timely oil changes, and perhaps a visit to a specialist if it's an older diesel model. There has also been debate around the classic vehicle exemption. Currently, cars more than 40 years old and not substantially modified do not require an annual MOT. However, that rule is now under review, following a consultation that revealed strong public concern about safety. While there is no immediate law change as of early 2025, it is widely expected that later this year or in early 2026, some form of light touch safety inspection will be introduced for older vehicles. This would not necessarily be a full MOT, but rather a basic safety check covering brakes, tires, steering, and lighting. For many classic car owners, those who have spent decades preserving heritage vehicles, this will be an adjustment, but the logic behind it is sound. Even the most carefully restored vehicles can develop wear or corrosion over time, and the government's argument is that no car, however cherished, should be exempt from demonstrating its roadworthiness. For older drivers, the emotional side of this reform cannot be overlooked. Many of us see our car not just as a machine, but as an extension of our independence, a symbol of freedom, of being able to go where we want, when we want. Losing confidence in that can be unsettling. Yet these MOT reforms are, in many ways, designed to help maintain that independence safely. By ensuring your car is checked thoroughly, you can have greater confidence that it will perform reliably, especially as you continue driving into later years. The government has made it clear that these measures are not about targeting older drivers, but about ensuring every vehicle on the road meets consistent standards, regardless of the owner's age. Financially, however, there are realities to consider. The maximum MOT fee for a standard car remains capped by law at £54.85. But the costs of repairs following a failure may increase as testing becomes more advanced. A worn sensor that once went unnoticed could now trigger a fail. A mild suspension issue might be flagged as dangerous under the new risk-based system. For those of us managing retirement budgets or fixed incomes, an unexpected repair bill of £500 or even £1,000 can be a heavy blow. That's why many industry experts are advising motorists, particularly those driving cars older than 10 years, to consider preventative maintenance. Spending £200 on a thorough pre-MOT inspection could save double that in failure-related expenses. In the long run, it's a decision that pays for itself not only in money, but in reassurance. Let's imagine a familiar story. John, a 68-year-old from Shropshire, drives a 13-year-old estate car. It's comfortable, reliable, and has carried him and his wife on countless holidays across the UK. Last year, his MOT passed with a single advisory about worn rear tyres. Under the new system, that advisory could easily become a failure if left unresolved. When John receives his MOT reminder in August 2025, he decides to visit his local garage 2 weeks early. The mechanic checks the tyres, replaces a cracked brake hose, updates the engine control software, and cleans the exhaust system. The total cost is £370. When John returns for his MOT, he passes comfortably, and the certificate includes digital photos confirming every part of the test. That experience, a bit more preparation, a slightly higher cost, but a much stronger sense of trust, is what these reforms are intended to create. One concern that has circulated among older drivers is whether the MOT frequency might change. Earlier proposals suggested extending the first MOT for new cars from 3 years to 4, and then continuing every 2 years after that. However, as of this year, the government has confirmed it will retain the annual MOT cycle. Officials concluded that yearly testing remains vital for catching defects early, especially given the unpredictable British climate and road conditions. This decision has been welcomed by safety organisations, insurers, and road user groups. For the average driver, it means continuing to schedule the test every 12 months, but with a more modern and transparent process in place. Another update you should be aware of involves electric and hybrid vehicles. The number of battery-powered cars on British roads now exceeds 1.5 million, and MOT standards are adapting to keep pace. Testers are receiving new training to check the condition of high-voltage cabling, connectors, and the integrity of battery housings. For hybrid vehicles, the MOT will also include checks on regenerative braking systems. If you have recently switched to a hybrid or electric car, this means your MOT experience may feel slightly different. While these vehicles generally require less maintenance, the complexity of their systems means only qualified testers can legally perform the inspection. So, when booking, it is worth confirming that your chosen center is certified to handle electric vehicles. For rural drivers or those in smaller towns, accessibility to MOT centers remains a concern. The government has promised investment in digital booking systems and rural testing coverage, ensuring no motorist is left behind. However, practical issues persist. Some areas still rely on a handful of approved garages, and appointment slots may feel faster under the new procedures. If your MOT is due in late summer or autumn, consider booking several weeks in advance. For drivers in their 60s or 70s, who may prefer personal service over online systems, many local garages still accept phone bookings and offer reminder services by post. These reforms also touch on data protection, because the MOT system will now collect photographic evidence, odometer readings, and digital fault records. Privacy safeguards have been strengthened. All data will be encrypted and retained only for a limited time, accessible exclusively by the DVLA and relevant enforcement bodies. It's a sign of the times. Even car maintenance now involves data management. But for those who value trust and transparency, this shift ensures you can trace every part of your MOT history, from the date and time of the test to the exact photos taken of your car. That level of accountability, though unusual, is expected to rebuild confidence among drivers who have grown wary of inconsistent testing standards. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, these MOT reforms reflect a larger transformation in British transport policy. The government is aligning vehicle safety with broader environmental and technological goals, reducing emissions, promoting electric vehicles, and using data to improve public trust. For older drivers, that may feel like a lot of change at once, but it also signals respect for experience. After all, those of us who have been driving for decades know the value of good habits: checking tire pressure, topping up oil, listening to the sound of the engine. These new systems simply add another layer of assurance that the car you rely on every day is genuinely safe and efficient. So, what can you do now? The best advice is simple preparation. Check when your MOT expires. Book a pre-inspection if your vehicle is more than 10 years old. Replace any worn tires. Attend to small warning lights before they become major issues, and keep your service record complete. If you have any doubts, ask your mechanic to explain how your vehicle might fare under the new MOT rules. Most garages are more than happy to guide long-term customers, especially those who have been loyal for years. By being proactive, you'll not only save money, but also maintain your independence, something no reform can ever take away. These changes are coming whether we are ready or not, but readiness is something we can control. The 22nd of June, 2025 may sound like just another date on the calendar, but for the nation's drivers, particularly those over 50, it marks the beginning of a new chapter in how we care for our vehicles. The MOT is evolving, and with it, our relationship with motoring itself. If this update has given you a clearer understanding of what lies ahead, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to stay informed about future developments. Because staying aware, prepared, and confident is the best way to ensure that the road ahead remains open, safe, and truly yours.